Along with drought, conflicts are also contributing to the rise of the world's refugee populations, especially in East Africa. A group of refugees resettled in the U.S. by the UN Refugee Agency recently visited Washington to raise awareness about their plight and to push for ways to improve lives.
Refugees are not burdens. Refugee is not a stigma. It is a beautiful thing, and we bring so much to a community, whether we're doctors, lawyers.
This is not the forum where you'd normally see Alek Wek. A top fashion model, she's often doing a catwalk down a high fashion runway. But she once was a 14-year-old refugee fleeing violence in South Sudan before being resettled in London.
That's why I vowed to use the voice from the time I started in the fashion business, and that's really very gratifying, and it's not because I'm doing it out of my own good. It is what has to take place.
UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, says persecution and conflict in 2010 displaced more than 47 million people worldwide. 73,000 of those came to the US. Wek is one of 60 refugees now living in the United States who came to Washington recently for the United Nations' first Refugee Congress, marking the 60th anniversary of the UN Refugee Convention. The agency's senior communications officer, Charity Tooze, says the Congress aims to give refugees a voice.
There's a concept that the people that are most affected by something should be sitting at the table of power with people who are making policy. And I think that this is just the first step towards that. At the end of the day, when they're done with their working groups, there'll be a proclamation and steps that they suggest to U.S. policymakers as well as international policy on how refugee resettlement, asylee, stateless persons can have a better experience.
Famine has been declared in some areas of Somalia. Some Somali refugees attending the Congress say they feel for their fellow citizens back home.
As a Somali, seeing 20 years with all these problems, it just, it's breaking my heart. I can make a voice, collecting a couple of hundreds or thousands. It doesn't help. What I need to see is the world saying Somali cannot govern themselves.
I spoke to any concerned UNHCR officials. I was telling the crisis of refugees will not end. The aid you give won't help unless we have a solution, another political solution.
Basmat Ahmed is a refugee from Darfur in Western Sudan. She says the plight of the people of Darfur has been forgotten. Though Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has been indicted for crimes in Darfur by the International Criminal Court, Ahmed says thousands of Darfuri refugees are languishing in camps in Chad.
Until today, there's other village that they are not known by United Nations or known by other NGOs. And these villages are attacked every single day. The African Union, they become even negative to be there. Once the independence happened in South Sudan, all the media just focusing on South Sudan issue.
Many of the people at this first UN Refugee Congress in Washington are now U.S. citizens or have plans to become so. Congressman Jim McGovern reminded them that they have the power to influence change for fellow refugees.
Don't make any mistake about it. It is politics. And now you are part of this country. I think most of you here vote. So you can go to a member of Congress and say, look, if you're not with me, I'm not with you. And I'm going to work hard to make sure that you get defeated.
Fashion model Alek Wek says she plans to keep fighting for the rights for refugees, whom she says are like family.
We all deserve to be heard. We all deserve to have a voice, to live in a freedom manner, and just the fundamental basic things. We all deserve it, and as fellow human beings we should also look out for other fellow human beings which are going through such terrible devastation.